Yeah, the pandemic has indeed accelerated this trend. It was already there. As you know, it was something that was going on. But I think the way in which, for example, the EU has decided to take the exit route out of the crisis is to accelerate this renewable energy and this energy transformation, which I would say it's a transition rather than a transformation. It's a big change that affects not only the energy industry, but the industry at large. So I can say, yes, the pandemic has accelerated this trend in a major way, I would add.
So what's the biggest risk then? The money's there. In fact, there's a lot of money, and huge amounts of money being available from both the private and indeed the public sector. Where's the biggest risks then to this transformation?
I think the risk is that this transformation, let's say the transformation is inevitable. That's something that will happen anyway. The risk is whether it happens in a disorderly fashion or let's say in a turbulent manner or in an orderly way. And I think the risk is that we are not really taking into account all the consequences for the whole industry and economic activity of the world. That means that we try and push it in a way that creates problems for people or is unjust, accumulates inequality in some parts of the world rather than being more just. So that's the risk that I see. The risk of the transition being slowed down or becoming turbulent rather than beneficial and spreading around in an orderly fashion. I mean, and that has to do with governance. So it's very much an issue in the hands of governments and states. It's up to them now to try and rein in this transition in the right way.
Francesco, can I ask you, in the short term, there do seem to be some challenges for consumers and consequently for economies on a potential spike in wholesale energy prices. Could you give us a bit of a forecast for what you think we might see through the rest of this year and into early next year? Because clearly we're all very focused on current price pressures.
I think if you look at Europe, this was quite easily to predict. 2021 is the first year in which the ETS, the emission trading system scheme, gets into this mechanism of cutting quotas as the slack shows up. And that's working. And I think that is something that everyone was expecting to work, and it's doing the job. The question is whether this will become too much, or whether, let's say, politicians will be able to understand that they have to be part of this game and use fiscal levers to mitigate the impact on most vulnerable customers. But this is a very short-term impact. I mean, on the medium-long term, prices will go down, and in fact are going down in other parts of the world. So the fact is that Europe is not used to long-term pricing signals, and that is compounding the problem. So again, I come back to my point. It's very much in the hands of government and regulators to mitigate these short-term spikes and have long-term pricing signals into the market in Europe as fast as possible.